Travis went good, so trying something new this morning, different angle. See if that works. I keep running across an impenetrable wall of Jesus believers, and the documents are about 1,500 years old. If not a little bit more. And with all that time, the believers in Jesus, especially referring to the Mormon church, are very angry, very defiant, very outspoken about something they know nothing about. They've never seen Jesus. They've never touched him, heard him, smelt him. You know, the five senses. He's not real. And yet, despite not being real, you have Mormons even who insist and keep, protesting too much that he is real, as if their whole belief system depends on it. And, well, it does. But I don't think people understand that when you seek the truth, you can let go of what's false. And I think people forget, when you're kids, you're told Santa Claus is real. And eventually, most of us learn that Santa Claus is not real, but it's used to try to teach and educate and entertain and give happiness through the lesson of the Christmas season, even though it has nothing to do with Jesus, but more of the pre-religious festivities and rituals prior to Constantine. But for Mormons to just outright live in denial of the first vision, talking about a creed. See, I can understand my generation not knowing and therefore still believing in Jesus, because I did. I went on my mission, talked about Jesus, tried to understand scriptures in the context of Jesus. And it was not until I went to a university that taught about the origins of Christianity and the Nicene Creed. And even John Penny, he took the class before me, and fellow Mormon. We were both at one point in time going through the seminary program together to become seminary teachers. He seemed to have not pursued that when he came down to BYU. But he too was it was like an eye-opening experience to learn that Christianity was founded on a lie of Constantine. And then was impressed by how there was a donkey that was made a pope to save the authority, and a post and other objects, because that's what idolatry teaches people, is to commit superstitious actions under the name of their idolatrous god and belief system. But when you realize the truth, your whole viewpoint on life, or paradigm, changes. You live your life differently. You speak differently. You think differently. And but to stick with something that you're refusing to research, to get mad and violent and defiant and bearing testimony of, you're bearing false witness, guys. That's in the Ten Commandments. You're not supposed to do that. But you don't think. If you're bearing witness of something you have not witnessed, you're lying. And it's not about feelings, because that's what Constantine pulled the con of, is that people were just supposed to be emotionally moved and are supposed to therefore attach it to Jesus, as Christians still do to this day. And Mormons have adopted. Because when I was younger, it was all about the still small voice. And then I noticed in the 2000s, even in the 1990s, it was becoming more of a still small feeling, but they didn't call it a still small feeling. It was just, I feel. That started to emerge around that time period. And now it's like nobody understands the still small voice anymore, because psychologists have told us that we have schizophrenia if we believe in a still small voice. And you don't think. When you speak, your mind is producing the words for you to speak. That's a voice. The psychologist who's lying to you and gaslighting you for your money, likewise, knows this. They just want clients, and so they lie. And don't get me going on that path, because they have created the society we have today. They've been playing games to see what they can do, and they're purposely destroying our society. But religion does that too, but for the purpose of control. By Nelson and the prophets enforcing and pushing Jesus, they want control over you, because Jesus does not exist. And so what they want is for you to think that you're following Jesus, when in reality you're following the prophets. And yesterday I saw on the church homepage, website homepage, they have a new Jesus article up. It's the talk of the week. And they're pushing this Book of Mormon Jesus. He's now the new face of Jesus. But he's a straw man. For a straw man? Jesus doesn't exist. He was a literary fictional character as messianic literature, according to the learning of the Jews. Right there in the Book of Mormon, right at the beginning. Thus, the Book of Mormon is not literal history, because the Book of Mormon tells us, right at the very beginning, it's after the learning of the Jews. But if you don't know the learning of the Jews, because the church won't teach us, we all miss it. But here we go. They're pushing the big lie on Mormons. He is risen, not ascended, with healing in his wings. Oh, healing? See, it's so vague. Mormons then put in their own thing. Oh, I cannot follow doctor's advice because Jesus will heal me. See how dangerous this is? Now, it's one thing for doctors to turn to psychology to become pseudoscientists and thus pose a danger to their clients. But it's another thing that an actual scientist who is a scientist is ignored because the client says, Jesus is going to heal me. I don't need your help. Even when the New Testament has the passage, physician, heal thyself. Somebody's getting angry. But then they have the one that's been there for a little while. See how knowing. So, see how knowing Christ can change your life. Right there, you know it's a scam. Nobody can see him. He doesn't exist. He's messianic literature. Constantine changed him to literal history. And when you know that changed my life. But in knowing what's not, I still didn't know what was. And so then you have to do the real search for what our Christ is supposed to be. Because if I were Christian, I'd go, oh, okay, Christianity's not true. I'll have to figure out something else. And then turn to Mormonism? No, because they're Christian too. And it's frustrating that I am sacrificing my life to educate you guys and warn you of the dangers of this church. Because it's the church who put me here. It's the church who destroyed and ruined my life, giving orders to minions who obey them. And those who failed get fired and punished. This is how horrifying the church is. And you are witness to it. And you still are in defiance. You still run and hide from my videos, scared that the truth is going to cause you to crumble into a little ball and cry. You've forgotten the truth shall set you free. Do you not believe that? Are you not trying to pursue finding out and knowing if that's true? Or are you just coasting back saying, Jesus is real, the truth has set me free? It's just, just the abuse of Christianity and the sticking to Jesus and having that wall built up around your heart so that nobody can penetrate it. You're not going to destroy my testimony of Jesus. You don't have one. You've destroyed it because you believe in Jesus and refuse to seek for the truth. You have destroyed your testimony from ever having one. You are denying yourself the truth. You guys, not me. Because all I'm doing is pointing you out to the Mormon scriptures, the Book of Mormon, Joseph Smith papers. I mean, do you guys even understand that the Joseph Smith papers are put out by the church? They're the original documents, which means they are the authoritative source documents. All of Wikipedia should be referring to them in the references. They should not be referencing authors or even our standard works still, because the church hasn't come out with updated editions to conform with the authoritative source. Which is bizarre, because you think that would have been the first thing that they would have done before doing all these big book publications. I don't get it. Other than I know what the church is plotting and planning to do, and that's why I'm warning you. And it's getting more serious as days go by. With the Trump raid yesterday by the FBI, yeah, what are the white supremacists now doing? They're preparing for war. I warned you this was coming. So, yeah, what else can I say for this video? It's just, haven't your loved ones died by listening to Nelson and having faith in him? Haven't your loved ones been hospitalized? You know what I'm talking about. You know what healing in his wings is referring to. They're blaming you for not being healed. Oh, you didn't get healed? Well, you don't have enough faith. Gotta have stronger faith. Keep paying tithing. Go to church. Go to the temple. Expose yourself so that it becomes impossible to be healed. And he's a medical doctor. He knows the truth. And he's purposely lying to Mormons. He knows science. He knows the scientific process. That's how he was able to develop the heart thing that he did. And yet here he is, Jesus, the big con of history. And Mormons can't see this. I mean, Mormons at the beginning were going, yay, we have a prophet who is a medical doctor to lead us and guide us to go to church and expose ourselves? What? And I was warning you, begging you, screaming, don't do it. Stay away from church. Church needs to be closed. And you guys wouldn't listen. And I lost the majority of my subscribers because you wouldn't listen. Medical professionals came out. They had to be precise. And yeah, there were a lot of errors and misinformation. But the medical doctors, if you listen to them, were telling us what needed to be done. Even China was knowing what needed to be done and thus have controlled it better than the rest of the world. But they didn't care for their people to provide for their needs during that time, unless the people suffered. And that's what Americans didn't want to have happen to them. They didn't want to suffer, so they were in defiance of science. Civil war is coming, guys. You will not like it. It will be scary. And so if you're wondering what I'm warning you to go to, well, it's a forgotten passage. Only one. Doctrine and Covenants 45, man. Yeah, that Learning of the Jews passage written by Joseph Smith. And it shall be called the New Jerusalem, a land of peace, a city of refuge, a place of safety for the saints of the Most High God? Who does that mean? Well, that means he's the oldest, and then there are children, and then grandchildren. So he's no. The sun at noonday, Emmanuel, of the Egyptians. That's what it's referring to. And you guys aren't listening to me where I give you the location of where we're supposed to go. Because again, Joseph Smith Papers corrected my knowledge of Independence, Missouri. I was lied to. And so even though I knew of, I didn't know the truth because I was given a lie. And so even though it's 40,000 views, and I've never had one close to that since, I still knew that we needed to leave Utah at some point in time. And yet there are Mormons who believe, no, the prophecies no longer apply. They're null and void. God's word changes. It's Salt Lake City now. Temple Square is Zion. Nelson confirmed it for you. But you weren't listening. He's replacing us with Russians. You missed that part, didn't you? Yep. That's why they're building the new apartment building complex that's for rich elite. Yeah. All this other stuff is for the slaves. They need slaves, that's for sure. But you guys aren't watching 1984, are you? Because you can't watch R-rated movies. So, alrighty. I cranked out a lot of videos the last couple of days, so I pretty much got caught up. So I'm not really sure. I really have nothing. I have to wait for more inspiration. And that's what prayer is, in case you didn't know. Because you're not talking to, you're listening. That's prayer. And so when you get inspiration, you're supposed to make it happen. Make it so, number one. Make it so. But, yeah, another fictional tale. They have to be as true to character's reality as possible, despite the base premise being fiction. Science fiction in that particular case. So, I mean, are you even doing what I recommend? You know, section 45. Did you guys go over it with the knowledge that it's not literal? That it's symbolic and you're supposed to put Mormons in place of all this? So it's not the Jerusalem temple, it's the Mormon headquarters temple, which now is Salt Lake of the Great Abominable Church. And so the other passage in the Doctrine and Covenants, it says the wicked Mormons begins at my temple. You know, right here in the very beginning, First Nephi, I did that error yesterday. Doctrine and Covenants, section 1, verse 16. At least yesterday I caught it by reviewing the video. I was able to put the text at that point. But in 14, but obtained a promise. No, this is section 45. And the arm of the Lord shall be revealed, and the day cometh. It's all future, not Joseph Smith's time. That they who will not hear the voice of the Lord, and is it the Lord? No, not Jesus. It's referring to Joseph Smith history, who was told about Acts, which talks about Deuteronomy, which is in the Book of Mormon in 2 Nephi chapter 3, which includes Joseph Smith. And security. So I'm going to stop and then start up again. Alrighty. And so he's talking about the learning of the Jews concerning the Christ, not Jesus. And so this is the Mormon in the future that I've been talking to you guys about. If you're not going to listen to him, utter destruction's coming. And then it's talking about Joseph Smith and the Bible prophets and such. And he keeps using cut off. He knows, and yet he uses cut off. Hilarious. And so Verse 15. They have strayed from mine ordinances. Well, Christians, obviously, right? Jews? No, Mormons. He's talking to Mormons. And have broken mine everlasting covenant. Temple. Mormons. He's talking to Mormons. Mormons in the future will be a part of the Great and Abominable Church and will be wicked. Right here, Joseph Smith, not me. And Mormons seek not the Lord. You're holding to Jesus to establish his righteousness. Every man walketh in his own way after the image of his own God. And then it talks about the perishing of Babylon, even Babylon the Great, which shall fall. And it's not Babylon, is it? The church told us they got all of the code words decoded for the 1981 edition. Oops. What is it, Bruce? Tell me, Bruce, which one is it? What is the decoded for Babylon? The Great and Abominable Church. Which is the one Mormons are in. It's all right here. But until you break free, breaking the chains, there's the theme song. Breaking the chains of Jesus, you will not see it. Because if you keep holding to Jesus, then the church is still true, because Jesus is through this church. And maybe that's what you're scared of. That you've been frauded your whole life, like I was. Like everybody was. And ex-Mormons. Seriously, ex-Mormons. Come on. I'm getting comments from you guys attacking Joseph Smith in the Book of Mormon. Are you not listening? So, alright. It's starting to get crowded.